The Comanches are one of the most famous and colorful Indians in North America, the guys who put up the most powerful resistance to the pale-faced ones. But who are these very Comanches? How did they appear? How is their fate now developing? Usually not many people know this. I'll tell you today on the Ethno-Base channel. The birth of a thunderstorm. So, Comanche. Initially, they belonged to the Shoshone Indians that lived in the mountainous territories of the current states of Wyoming, Nevada, Idaho. They belong to the Uto-Aztecan language family. That is, they are distantly related to the Mexican Aztecs, whom Cortez conquered in the 16th century. The Comanche came from the Shoshone Indians, who in the 17th to 18th centuries decided to follow the bison from the mountains to the plains, to the areas of the modern states of Oklahoma, Kansas, New Mexico, Colorado, and Texas. There, having mastered horses with firearms, the Comanches quickly replaced their predecessors, the Apaches. And they turned into a real nightmare for the Spaniards, the French, the Mexicans, and then the Americans. The pale-faced failed to subdue the Comanches, these fantastic warriors, for more than 2 centuries. The most powerful nation of savages on the entire American continent. This is how American historians of the 19th century described the Comanches. By the way, the Comanche called themselves simply and without fanfare Numba, that is, people. The word Comanche, that is, enemies, picked up by the Europeans and slightly altered, these guys were nicknamed by the surrounding Indians who suffered from Comanche raids. The most dangerous Indians. Hardened by intertribal skirmishes and buffalo hunting, the Comanche were distinguished by incredible skill in battle. The Comanches operated in detachments of several hundred men. Usually these Indians attacked the enemy in loose formation, effectively using spears and tomahawks. But they also fired unusually accurately from bows and firearms, and reloading their guns right on the run. The Comanches were helped by their carefully organized military system. Boys in the tribe learned to ride horses and wield tomahawks almost before they could walk, and by the age of 15, they were already considered full-fledged warriors, distinguished by incredible courage in battle. Another feature of the Comanches was their fantastic unpretentiousness. These guys, if necessary, could eat even dogs, even raccoons. Starving out the Comanches was no easy task. And another joke of the Comanches is their incredibly flexible diplomacy. These Indians managed to conclude an agreement against common enemies both among themselves and with other Indian tribes. They also quarreled among themselves and the whites themselves without any problems. For example, they supported the Mexicans against the Americans. The Comanche thus did more than halt the advance of the whites to the west of North America for 2 centuries. But they also struck back quite well, besieging and burning the forts of the pale-faced invaders, pushing the borders of European colonists back. There was even a whole trading and raiding area of the Comanches, which the whites conventionally called the Comancheria, and from which they tried to stay away, for the Comanches were also famous for their incredible cruelty. During dashing raids they easily destroyed or scalped the entire male population of the enemy that they met on the warpath. It is curious that the women and children of the Comanche enemy were willingly taken into their tribe. Quite rightly, they could also become Comanches. As a result, even Afro-Comanches appeared among these Indians, the descendants of the captured children of dark-skinned slaves. The Americans were finally able to defeat the Comanches only after their own civil war, in the 1870s, by sending a huge army of experienced cavalrymen to the Comanche area and surrounding the recalcitrant region with a ring of forts. A heavy blow to the recalcitrant tribe was also dealt by a sudden outbreak of smallpox, which claimed almost 10,000 people out of 30. Next, the whites rewarded the Comanches with cholera and measles. The Comanches and all their potential allies were deprived. The Mexicans were driven far south by the Yankees, winning the war, and the rest of the surrounding Indians were conquered or destroyed. The Americans also powerfully hit the main commercial base of the Comanches, countless herds of bison, on the prey of which the entire tribe was essentially fed. Having exterminated thousands of bison, the Americans overnight put the Comanche on the brink of starvation. Yes, you can eat raccoons, but not all the time. The last major uprising against the pale-faced Comanches was raised in 1874, under the leadership of their leader Quan Parker, the son of the leader and his white slave. But no matter how bravely the Indians fought, their strength dried up. Only 1,500 people remained from the once mighty tribe. In fact, the American Colonel Mackenzie, who led the punitive expedition against them, saved the Comanches from complete extermination by punishers. Mackenzie was able to persuade the Indians to give him all the horses and proceed to a reservation in southwestern Oklahoma, and with the proceeds from the sale of Indian herds, he honestly bought cows, goats, and sheep, which he handed over to the remnants of the Comanche tribe. Thus the Indians were spared starvation. However, the Comanches still ended up locked up in the reservation in Oklahoma, where they began to quietly die out from booze and disease. However, now the Comanche tribe is gradually reviving to life. Now there are already about 15 to 17,000 people, half of whom live outside the reservation. The Comanches are still about the glory of their legendary ancestors, warriors whose daring raids once terrified half of the American continent. Interesting opinion. Historians believe that it is thanks to the Comanches that the modern United States has become such a powerful state, for by not allowing the French and Spaniards to the west of North America, the Comanches essentially saved most of the American continent for the Yankees. Otherwise, there could be a patchwork of states, much like in Latin America, and the United States itself would hardly be such a single huge country. Thank you for your attention. Stay with us on the channel, there will be many more interesting videos about history.